Hello there. I find summarizing where we are kind of politically and culturally pretty. In some ways, it's very difficult, and in other ways, it's constantly in your face. Yeah, um, you can see that so many things uh, have broken down in terms of like the direction like our country's gone in um, over decades. Yeah, and you can see the results of that. Yeah, in in the effects of mass immigration and the effects of the downgrading of our culture, the betrayal of our culture, in fact, really. And it's funny because when I was young, of course, which is a long time ago now, it's like there was a different establishment. And that establishment we sometimes railed against and we rebelled against and we did all sorts of stuff, to say, we want a different kind of life. But the fact is, they looked after our culture and they looked after us, in fact. Yeah. Anyway, when you're young, you're stupid, But obviously, things very, very much changed, especially, I guess, after Blair got in. Yeah. Things very much changed. And a new elite took over. And gradually, the delusional politics of the 1960s uh, seeped into everything, basically. Um, you can find lots of videos from people who are much better at analysing that than I am. But then we get to a position now where we see the liberalism which had been making so much progress in our society in all sorts of ways. It appeared, we thought, yeah, um, that liberalism had been uh, making all sorts of progress in terms of apparently making our country a kind of kinder, nicer place in various ways, a more open and welcoming place. Um, and that really seemed to be in evidence to be during the 1990s, yeah. But underneath the surface, the rot was really percolating. Um, we didn't realize about all the, what can you say on YouTube now? Well, the rape gangs, yeah. We didn't realize about the rape gangs and everything they were doing, yeah. We didn't realize that's been happening all the way along. So all the way that all this liberalism has been happening, and this whole thing with multiculturalism, yeah, which of course is a complete lie, yeah, that was all happening. And then I can remember around about 2015 was the real. Well, no, it's a bit beyond, a bit before then. A bit before that, somewhere around 2011, 2012, I realized that there were real crazies in the sort of in the supposed sort of like LGBT thing. Yeah, there were real crazies, um, and they were getting an awful lot of traction around the trans thing. Yeah, that's when I first started to realize that, and I started to think, oh, whoa, hold on a second. This actually makes no sense. This actually is the emotional tenor of it was hysterical, demanding, and delusional, essentially. Um, but then around 2015, that's when something really switched. It was the year which started off with the Charlie Hebdo murders and ended with the Bataclan massacre, yeah, by Islamists, yeah, in France. And in the middle of it, Merkel invited an enormous wave of migrants into Germany and into Europe, basically. Um, and that's when I started to realize, oh, hold on. Things are very, very different. Yeah. It's not what people thought at all. Which is naive, to have even gone that long without realizing where things were at. But, And now, after so many years of betrayal by our own governments and our institutions, after so many years of betrayal, well, you can see they have ramped up and ramped up and ramped up. Basically, a kind of war against their own culture and their own people. And after so many years, now with everything they've piled on and piled on and piled on, it's forced into consciousness what the issues are and what the truth of things is. And so now it's basically over for the believability of the narrative, because for the narrative to remain effective, it has to almost be subconscious, and it's been forced into consciousness. And the consciousness is that you have new rulers, you have new privileged classes, and that the majority population must be suppressed and managed into decline and presumable eventual extinction. And that is the narrative, essentially, and it's become conscious, and that is the fruit of so-called liberalism, and it's the effective intention of what got called the left. Though I hate using the sense of left and right, because it gives you a sense that there are two possibilities and you choose between the two, and no. The left is based upon a philosophy of violence. It always has been. It's essential to it. The left has always been based upon a philosophy of political violence. So, and absolute and absolute rule, absolute power, basically. But with that now in full view, people are understanding, and people are pushing back. So things are over. Things are over for the narrative. But the narrative still has power. It still has the weapons of state. It still has control over the institutions. It has still control over the legislature. It has control over the courts. It has control over all these sorts of things. Yeah. Now, I know there are people who will argue, no, we're still okay. We've still got the bases to bring things back. And yes, let's hope that's true. And I absolutely support the cause for a Great Repeal Act and for a restoration. That absolutely needs to be done. And I am 100% in favour of civilized and peaceful solutions to what is an absolutely cataclysmic situation in terms of our country and our culture and our civilization, potentially. This is an emergency. And to respond to this democratically, peacefully, and with peaceful organisation is the way to go, 100%. Yeah, but there should be no mistaking. We are betrayed. We are betrayed at the highest level and throughout our entire establishment and our institutions. We are betrayed, and trust in these things cannot be maintained. Yeah, in the way that we thought they could. Yeah. I believe they can be got back. I believe we can get that back. I believe the basis in law is still there, and we still have a parliament which, with the will and the determination, can take back its country for its actual people, for those who love its country, and for those who love its people, this place, its history, and our civilization. It can be done, I believe. So that's what I hope for. But we are at the most extraordinary point, really, where an entire project of the post-war years has dropped the mask from itself, and people are understanding how they are viewed and where they are in that supposed scheme of things. Funny, really, we are actually heading for a kind of reset, but not the great reset that the World Economic Forum put on its website, it seems.